Dan Senor was the senior advisor for the Mitt Romney-Paul Ryan ticket in 2012. Michael Feldman, Vice President Al Gore's traveling chief of staff during the 2000 presidential election campaign. Both good enough to join us now. Guys, great to have you.
Thanks for having us.
So we did just see Juliana's piece with regard to the fact-checking that was happening on social media in real time. We did see Lester Holt at times push back on the candidates with regard to their statements, but just overall, 35,000-foot view. Dan, start with you. What'd you make of what you saw last night?
I thought the first 15 or 20 minutes, Trump was very strong. If you believe that this is a change election, then he conveyed that he was the change agent, and she was not. She was a product of 33 plus decades of running Washington, and he railed against trade deals. I mean, I thought to myself, for those first 15, 20 minutes, if he does this the entire night, he's going to win this debate. She methodically pushed his buttons and got him way off message. Whether it was whether or not he was a self-made person or he inherited money that got him rich, whether it was about his taxes, whether it was about on birtherism, she just systematically pushed the buttons and sent him down rabbit holes. And I don't think he ever recovered. And I think it was effective, A, in just getting him off his attacks on her, and B, was effective in elevating temperament issues.
Michael, that might speak then to a lack of preparation, not with regard to Hillary Clinton's theoretical deep dives into policy as an avowed policy wonk, but really the preparation can also be seen in these sorts of debates in the little moments. She was obviously ready with them. For a candidate then in Donald Trump who wore his lack of preparation as something of a badge of honor, did we see that backfire last night?
We did, only because he missed a lot of opportunities and she made the most of them. So when they were having exchanges on issues that millennials care about, she was talking about climate change. On the discussion about birtherism, she was talking about African Americans and further shoring up that vote. On the whole exchange about his comments about women, she made more progress there. So, look, she occupied more real estate than he did. And yes, it does go to preparation, because when she heard a question, she was right back on her message. He spent a lot of time, especially in the back half of the debate, on defense.
Dan, there were obvious areas of vulnerability for Secretary Clinton last night, but we didn't hear anything about the Clinton Foundation. We heard three very simple sentences with regard to the email scandal in which she apologized, and it was laid to rest, never really to be returned to again, except when he tried to equate the release of the emails to his own taxes. What did you make of those missed opportunities, to Michael's point?
Look, I thought Lester Holt went after Trump on a couple of issues, his support for the Iraq War and the tax issue, and he stayed on him, and a couple of the others that you showed in Julia's piece. He did not go after her, Lester Holt, and challenge her as much. And in that case, the candidate has to be nimble enough to say, okay, it's on me. And the moderator is not going to be challenging my opponent as much as he is challenging me. Therefore, I've got to challenge her. He didn't bring these things up. There's a litany of issues he could have brought up to prosecute her on. He didn't. He left all the prosecuting to her. She prosecuted him.
I know you tweeted, in fact, last night that Hillary Clinton did something tonight no journalist has been able to do, surgically take him apart on his tax return. She explains why it matters. I do just want to play a bit of what it is she had to say. Get your thoughts on the back.
So you've got to ask yourself, why won't he release his tax returns? And I think there may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is. Second, maybe he's not as charitable as he claims to be. Third, we don't know all of his business dealings, but we have been told through investigative reporting that he owes about $650 million to Wall Street and foreign banks. Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So if he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide.
We might look back, that seemed to be perhaps the moment.
It was great. I mean, as someone who prepped one Republican candidate running in the primary. I know many of the Republican candidates were all frustrated by how he was getting away with this refusal to release his tax return, something that, as Secretary Clinton pointed out, every nominee of a major party has done for decades. And yet no one's ever been able to pin him down. No journalist in interviews has been able to pin him down. And she did it last night. She systematically laid out why it matters, what he could be hiding, why it matters. That last point, maybe he's paying zero taxes. You may not care that much. He submitted this form, he's released that form. But when you hear women, he paid no taxes, I got to believe just about every swath of the electorate that sort of would give pause to, and he basically confirmed it.
Well, and that's the point here. After confirming what it is he says he made last year, to hear then that he would pay Michael no federal taxes, it was that confirmation, or the half confirmation. He had a couple moments like that when he had another moment where he leaned in. It's called good business. He seemed to have confirmed this, which again, this is a moment I know with Al Gore. As you noted earlier today on CBS This Morning, it was only a week later when we really parsed that transcript. It was we decided that perhaps he'd lost. Is this a moment we'll go back to and say, oh, look, there it is?
Yeah, well, I can tell you it's a moment that the Clinton campaign and their surrogates are working overtime to exploit today. And again, this wasn't an issue that he didn't know, that he couldn't have seen coming. On the comments that he's made about women, again, she was ready to press the argument. He had very little to say, bringing up Rosie O'Donnell, trying to justify it. Again, all of this didn't help his case at all. So you do wonder, and it goes back to his preparation, was he really ready to take advantage of those moments, or at least defend himself? She certainly looked like she was.
He certainly, in the primary season, had owned those moments. And as things, I think by most measure, spun a bit out of control in the last 10 to 15 minutes last night, there was an interesting post-debate moment. It carried over from one of his last statements with regard to something he decided he wouldn't say about Hillary Clinton. I wonder how did the inference, we all lived through the 90s, how did that inference, especially as a lasting image that you are leaving to 100 million plus viewers last night, how did that play?
I think it was probably lost on most people. It was at the end of the debate. You can't be cute in these debates when you're trying to make a point, especially one that requires some historical context and table setting. You can't just make like a loose reference to it. You actually have to explain it. He didn't do that. He did it at the end of the debate. And there were so many other big moments that had occurred earlier in the debate that eclipsed anything that would be said at the end, especially something as nuanced as that.
I have to let you go quickly. Do we see 2 more of these?
I think we do.
Yeah, and I believe he'll be better prepared for the next one.
Yes.
Okay, so get your popcorn ready all over again. Dan, Michael, thanks so much.
Thanks.